Good afternoon. Today we have Susan Smith of the Naramata Centre, and Susan will be discussing the strategic shift. Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, thanks, Lori. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is that you're watching our video. I am so beyond excited to be talking about the work that we have done here since last March. So for those of you that don't know anything about the Naramata Centre, we're a spiritual retreat and education center nestled in the beautiful valley of the Okanagan. We're one of 3 United Church retreat centers, and we've been around just over 70 years. So over those 70 years, you can imagine that just like various congregations across the country, the Naramata Centre has also gone through many variations of who we are and who we serve. Everything from 300 people on site in our heydays back a number of years ago per week, to what we're looking at now is about 1,000 people on site. We're known for our retreat centers, for many of our congregations and many of what used to be called the conferences. And we're also known for our summer program, which runs about 7 or 8 weeks during the summer. And many of you might have also attended our winter sessions. And those were leadership retreats for youth and young adults over the years. I joined the center in 2019 of June, just before the summer. So I went into the summer, it was already planned, and it went very well. And then the next summer kind of came along. And so the next summer kind of came along and we thought, all right, what are we going to do here? We planned out our summer for 2020. We had seven or 8 weeks of like amazing programming. People were going to come, they were going to show up. We had our spring 2020 booklet, and this was a new thing for us, offering spring programming on site. And we were like ready to go. And then we hit COVID-19. So what that means is basically the Naramata Centre is known for bringing together people in community. So how could we be in community if we actually couldn't be physically together? So we started to think about that a little bit and thought, well, we can't bring people in here. We can't have our 1,000 people on site in the summer of 2020. But how do we keep people connected while we're physically apart? So we started to think about, well, what if we started to stream some of our more popular programs and events and see if there's any sort of take up on those. So we have 2, which one of them is Sacred Pause. And Sacred Pause is a weekly meditation and quiet contemplation time that happens here during the summer in our absolutely beautiful chapel. And Conversations That Matter was an idea that we started in 2020 of think about a most beautiful lawn or a most beautiful grassy field surrounded by willow trees, and close your eyes and imagine people gathered around that lawn underneath those trees, talking about all of the social issues that are relevant today. So for us, that was what was going to happen here during the summer in Conversations That Matter. But obviously, with the limitation on large groups, we couldn't do that. So what we did was we decided that we were going to start streaming Sacred Pause. So we asked some of our more prevalent leaders to put together these Sacred Pause meditation moments and provide them to us. And then we had our amazing videographer at the time, Maddie. She went around the property of Naramata and took the most beautiful, beautiful videos. And we paired the 2 together and created what we thought were, and what we feel are like really beautiful videos that people can watch so they feel like they were at the center while they were participating in the meditation. And then we posted them and kind of held our breath. It was amazing. So during the summer, we might have anywhere from 7 to 15 people show up on a Wednesday night for a Sacred Pause. We were getting 20, 30, 40 people signing up and participating and streaming these Sacred Pause moment. So we thought, okay, like maybe we're onto something here. Let's try conversations that matter. And the idea behind conversations that matter was, how do we bring people together and create a sense of community when we're all figuring out this whole new Zoom world that we live in and we're physically apart? So our very first conversations that matter was exactly on that topic. Is it possible to create community when we're physically apart? And I think we had maybe about 15 people participate in that, and again, across British Columbia and Alberta. And we started to take notes and we listened to what they said. And at the end, they all kind of went, you know what, we actually think this could be possible. They were talking to each other on the call. They were breaking out and having discussions about it and then coming back together again. So we thought, okay, you know what, we're going to try this and we're going to try this monthly. Our very first one that we did was called Beyond the Discomfort. And this we launched in June with Raul James. Many of you may know Raul James. He does travel, I believe, across the country. He's a community builder and cultural activist. And the point of that conversation was to talk about the very hot topic at the time, and continues and has continued and probably will continue, is the topic of racism and how it presents today. And how do we move beyond the discomfort when we're talking about it? It was very successful, so much so that the people on the call actually asked if they could do it again. And we launched it during the summer. So from that, we went, okay, and remember, we haven't even hit our summer yet. We're still in the spring at this time, not being able to offer any of our spring online or on-site programs. So we thought, all right, we're going to give this a try. We're actually going to reach out to some of our existing program leaders and say, what do you think about the idea of trying online programming? And this was probably around April of 2020. And the response from our program leaders, many of who have been with us for many years, was actually very positive. They're like, nope, let's give this a try. Let's see if we can bring people together. And the idea of the online programs wasn't to simply sell something that we could replace income with. We really wanted to create a way of delivering our online programs where the purpose was to create community. And a side benefit was all the learning outcomes that you were going to get from the different programs that we offered. So we came up with something called the All Access Pass. And at the time, what we didn't want to do was sell the individual online programs like many other online providers were doing. Everybody you could see was getting into it over like April and May and June. We wanted to be able to offer a pass to people and then to be able to say to them, look, buy a pass and invite your friends or your community or your family into taking the online program with you. So one pass, one cost, and we were selling them from $325 up to $475. It was a sliding scale, so you could purchase on a number that felt right for you. You can take as many online programs as you want, share the discount code with your immediate family or your congregation, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then afterwards, perhaps get on your own Zoom call or meet in very safe COVID-friendly groups to have a conversation about what you all just experienced together. So again, the idea of bringing people together to talk about what they've learned and growing together and creating that sense of community and transformation among your own community group. It was an interesting exercise. I was very ambitious. I thought, oh, we're going to roll this out there. We've got about 1,600 people in our database. We're going to sell like 200 of these things. It's going to be like amazing. Well, it's really difficult to explain what I just explained to you. And it's difficult to, what we found was it was difficult to engage people in something that was so new to the Naramata Centre. We're known, we're loved for our summer programs, for our retreats, for our education, for our youth leadership. But online programming, completely new market. So it got off to a little bit of a slow start. But we did then start to reach out to some congregations and to some local community groups and say to them, look, you can't have people in your local churches right now. You can't gather together on a Sunday. But what you can do is purchase our Access Pass, offer these online programs, and then have your own groups and learning discussions to bring your congregation back together again to talk about what you've learned. We had a couple of congregations that picked up the pass after those conversations, and the education and the research still continues. And we also had some community groups, especially the senior community groups. One of them loved the idea because they thought, we can't get our seniors together. They're so isolated. Why don't we purchase a pass, offer it to them, and then bring them back in small groups? And so at least that way they can be together and talk about what they've learned. And for them, turn it into actually a way of making money, because we offered it to them. I think they bought it just over $400. And then in return, they were then selling it out to their members for $10 and earning a little bit of income where during that period of time, they wouldn't have earned anything at all. So we started to get really excited about this, and I just wanted to give you a flavor of what we're doing now in our online market. So coming up, oh, this is like blatant advertising. Coming up in February, we have 3 programs. You can see our programs cover everything from spiritual growth to personal development, and every online program or in-house program that we offer falls under movement, art, or conversation. So we have sound meditation, heart art, and honoring gender diversity. 3 completely different types of programs. They really appeal to different markets. And again, it's something you can do, all of them participate with your family. So we thought, okay, we're not really sure how this is going. We seem to be getting some pickup. So we started to do some research, and you can see we got some really positive comments. Strange times, glad to be connected, can't be outside, really well handled, appreciate the challenges. And then we knew we were onto something. So we opened up our summer. Remember what that summer was like. Most of our people they come in from BC, or they come in from Alberta. And the whole thing about being here during the summer is about creating a community life experience. And how were we going to create a community life experience when we weren't allowed to have more than, A, 50 people on site, B, we never knew whether we could invite people in from other provinces or not. And C, even if we had less than 50 people on site, we can't bring more than 10 people together at a time. And this was a time where in February, when we rolled out our original summer programming, we had 450 people registered by the end of February. And this is before we knew about COVID. And half of those came from Alberta. And then COVID hit, and we had to shut everything down, refund all of that, reimagine how the summer was going to look again, go back out to all of our program leaders who had committed like 5 months earlier into the type of program they were going to lead, and say, all right, we really want you to still come, but here's how we're going to have to do it. Some of it's going to have to be offered via online, and some of it is going to have to be offered while you're here on site. So we actually said to our people, we said, look, if you can't actually come to the center, then we're going to try and offer an online program so you feel like you're at the center and you're doing an online program. And this slide just gives you an idea, a comparison of 2019, where over the past couple of years, we've had over 1,000 people on site over those summer weeks. And in 2020, we were looking at only able to have 450 people on site. Remember, the rules at that time were much more relaxed in our approach to the COVID rules now, because we've been living with it for such a long time. But we were only renting out every other campsite, every other indoor accommodation. We were probably going a little bit overboard on monitoring everyone, but our primary focus was to ensure if we were going to invite people here, we had to keep them safe. So what we decided to do, if they were going to be here, and we had some people who came here, and because they couldn't actually gather together in more than 10 people, we said, hey, look, even though you're on site, we're still going to stream everything. And so we got into streaming in a huge way. And you can see over in, well, it's my right, maybe your left, on the morning music. Every morning we gather together for morning music. And we had Jim and Jean Strathby. Now, you know, they're in California, so obviously they weren't with us. So we managed to invite people onto our lawn. We had this huge screen put up, trying to figure out how we were going to backlight it and how people could see it. And we zoomed in Jean and Jim Strathby, and they did our morning music for us. And we had 3.1 thousand views for that one morning music. Then we started to say, okay, well, what about everything else when we're bringing people together in conversation? Let's try and make as much of it public as possible. So if you don't feel comfortable joining us on one of our lawns, you can stay in your tent, pull out your iPad, pull out your computer, and feel like you're participating with us. So we did a variety of other ones we did Friday night vespers, we did interviews, we did a Thursday night concert. So anything where we could possibly stream and invite people in, we did. And this was the result. So actually, I'm just going to point out a couple of things here. So if you take a look at the number of people on site and then the number of people online, and you can see in morning music on the last week, and by the way, these are our values down the right here. The theme of each week is one of our values. And you can see in the last week of music online, we hit 9,700 views. It was just like unbelievable. We could not get over the fact of how many people were wanting to connect with us. All of these people over the last 70 years coming together, wanting to still be part of the work that we do here and the impact that we have, and participating with us in an online version. So our morning music hit 9,700. That was when the Strathbys, excuse me, are very well known, and they joined us. But you can see the other ones were well over 1,000 on average every single week. And then our Sacred Pause, again, the number of people on site. At one point we hit 40 during our week of reverence. But look who was joining us online. We were reaching out and hitting over an additional 200 people, impacting their lives, hopefully creating some type of connection with them, and doing what we're supposed to be doing here, which is creating those safe transformational spaces and providing a place for people to connect. And for a sacred pause, find a time of deep meditation, even though they're by themselves. Our Thursday night concerts, they were the most challenging. Usually we do our Thursday night concert in the gym. Yeah, it's just like old fashioned, pull the family together. We're going to do a concert. Whoever is our music lead for the week comes, puts on a concert, and it's very intergenerational, very old school, and just a whole bunch of fun. Well, obviously we couldn't do that last year. So we had our music leads for the week presenting our concerts, and then again we were streaming them, and you can see the numbers that are there. And with a spiritual leadership, we also have a spiritual leader every week, And we didn't expect a lot of engagement there because that really is a one-on-one connection. So we did have a lot of participation on site. And I think, yeah, there was a couple of weeks where we did have more online, I think, especially around our last week, which was with resilience. That the online from there came from, there was a set of weekly interviews that was done with each of the leaders of that week, asking them what resilience meant to them. And then all of that was posted, and you can find it on our website and on our Facebook and links to that. And it was an interesting way to sort of end the summer when you think about resilience and what we were facing. So obviously, you can tell by the end of this, we were super pumped. We were excited. We loved the fact that we engaged, and we really felt at the end it was a successful summer, given even all of the constraints of COVID. We had views right across British Columbia into Alberta, Sacramento, California. That was probably due to the Strathys. We had people listening, and when they're listening live. So we would post the video afterwards and they would view it, or they would listen live. We had people saying that they joined us every single morning before they kicked off their day for our morning music, and you can see all the different places that people were listening from. But it was not without its challenges. And so any type of strategic shift, when you go through it in any type of organization, has its challenges. And you have to be aware of those going in so you can figure out, okay, we know this is going to be coming up. What's our plan B for it? How are we gonna figure out how to make it work? And I probably should have just put COVID-19 as a big red circle over everything. Over here on my top left, that represents people. So people couldn't gather. How were we going to deal with that? Our internal resources. We have 4 full-time in-house people. And what I didn't tell you was our program manager, who put together this amazing summer last year and is going to put together and has put together another amazing summer for this year, started on March the 15th. So she started on March the 15th. I sent everybody home on March the 16th. She knew nothing about the center. She had been to the site once. And for many of you that have been here or know of us, you know the center is more than a place, it's a feeling. It's a thin space, and everything that we do comes back to, you know, who we are, where we're located, and it all ties in together because we are a sacred place. So imagine how difficult it is to put together any type of summer or spring program or online programs when you actually haven't been here. So that was a big challenge for her, and she's just done an amazing job. And then the other piece, of course, is the camera. It's not like we had all of these people sitting around with all this camera experience. We were program leaders, we were registration people, we're event people. We were so fortunate to find out that the summer student that we hired that year was also a videographer. So things just kind of aligned. We were very lucky. And so we learned as we went along the right way to stream, the wrong way to stream, how to put a screen up, how to hook up your sound box so you could do a Zoom call, do the sound, screen it on a stream, and still hear people in the middle of the summer with the sun shining and the wind blowing. And then, of course, the other one is dollars. The majority of our funds do come from during the summer, and you could see we were at like 40% of what we are normally. And I wanted to figure out a way to be able to keep the staff all summer so we didn't have to lay off anyone. And thankfully, with grants like the KIPE we received from EDGEy for this program, for our online access program, through the federal government subsidy programs, we were able to stay open. We haven't had to lay off anyone. We had the funds that we needed to do. And we had the funds to be able to support the growth of a new initiative, which was the online piece. And now we're here. So now we're here in 2021. And in some ways, it's kind of like, oh, okay, we made it through online. We made it through last year. We made it through the fall. What is 2021 going to look like? And so what we're doing is we have done a whole bunch of research on our online programs, and that whole idea of the Access Pass, still very committed to the idea of selling an Access Pass to bring communities together versus separate online programs. But we're going to repackage it and relaunch it, take it through its second phase of evaluation, and you're going to see that in April of 2021. And on Wednesday, stay tuned, because on Wednesday, we're going to be launching our summer of 2021 program. So we're expecting about 650 people on site this summer. Well, we're hoping for 650 people, again, down from our 1,000 people. But again, you know, we are still living in those times of limited gathering space, limited online or on-site space to gather people together, and just really want to ensure that we have the safety top of mind for everyone that comes to visit us. So we did make a couple of decisions this year. We will continue to stream because that was amazing, and we want people to stay connected to us all summer. But we won't be doing a joint online and on-site program. We have a really robust online program lineup now. You saw some of them coming up, and that will continue right through the summer. But we want our participants, when they come to the summer, to participate in the programs that we're going to offer here. So we offer 3 to 4 programs every single week, all of them spiritual growth, personal development, and we're going to limit the participant size to 10. 90% of them, or the majority of them, are going to take place outside, again, to ensure that we can keep everyone safe. And then we're going to have tons of community life activities where we co-create community life together with our participants that are on site every week for COVID-safe events that we can participate in either together or apart. And some of those ideas include art collages. So we'll give you a family kit, an art program, take it home, create an art collage, bring it back, we'll display it. We're going to have our weekly spiritual leaders, our music leaders. We've added a yoga leader this week, so someone to do spontaneous yoga all the time during the week, or meditation. And the other thing that we've added back into our program this year, we're really excited about this because in some ways, as we move forward, we also bring with us what was so important from the past, is our youth engagement program. So we will have a youth leader every single week on site, building our youth engagement program, looking to launch a full youth engagement program in 2022. And I think that is about it. So Lori, I am going to turn it back over to you, and I just want to thank everyone for listening, and I really hope that I'll see you here this summer, because as we like to say, the Naramata Centre, you belong here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Your continuous reimagination, you and the entire team, is very inspirational, and the impact that your work has had is obviously quite tremendous. So thank you for finding a place and a way for so many to connect despite the numerous challenges. I wish you all the best as you move forward, and I can't wait to hear what goes on Wednesday.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll stay in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.